That was very nice. That's from Jane's uncles and aunts, as you heard. So I guess I'll start off again by saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure today of addressing you on this joyous day on which Jordan and Jane have finally tied the knot after dating for some decade or so. I would first like to compliment the bridesmaids and the bride, Leanne, Olivia, and Jane. You look beautiful today. I would also like to thank the parents of the bride and the groom for raising two wonderful people who are now here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Almas, and I have been friends with Jordan since grade 7 when he came to Dalewood School, as Lisa told you, after he had taken a year off to travel around the world with his mom and Peter. Now, I've never been shy about asking a lot of questions, and Jordan was just about the most interesting person I could hope to find at Dalewood Middle School. He would regale me with tales of rainforest expeditions, coral reefs, encounters with tigers and other dangerous wildlife, all things that I had only daydreamed about seeing at the time. He would wear strange outfits from these exotic places he'd been to, which apparently didn't endear him to the judgmental minds of some Dalewood middle schoolers, from whom arose the first in a series of nicknames for Jordan, Jungle Boy. Well, we eventually made it through middle school and high school, attending chess, trivia, and debating events. We both attended McMaster University, where Jordan excelled at all things academic. We learned the trees in the Royal Botanical Gardens, played copious amounts of Mortal Kombat, rap music, squash, quiz bowl where we met Jay Mystic and Neil Walford, and other interests that most people would consider fringe pursuits. Jordan and I have both tried to remain somewhat studious as we are both pursuing academia. Well, our wives bring home their paychecks. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to any of you that I did my homework and looked up what are commonly seen as the responsibilities to be covered during my best man speech. After all, it's not really something that people get to do many times in their lifetime. Most people are lucky to do it once, and this is just a reminder of what a true honor it is to be able to speak to you here today on behalf of my friend and his amazing wife. Now, as an aside, I feel like the word friend is too universal to use on a friend like Jordan, who is so much more than that. So I checked a thesaurus to see if there was some word that would be better, warmer, more full of adoration than the word friend. But all the words that came up just sounded a little bit creepy or cold. I'll give you for instance. The top synonyms for friend were acquaintance, which is about as warm as a meat locker. Colleague, which isn't any better. Chum, as in what's used to bait sharks, or 1930 slang. Then we had alter ego, consort, and since neither of us is the spouse of a reigning monarch, I decided that wasn't appropriate. Playmate, well-wisher, and my personal favorite and Jordan's newest nickname, bosom buddy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I decided to go with friend. At any rate, I was saying I looked up my responsibilities, and one of them is to think of stories from our past that tell what a great guy Jordan is, and I can honestly say that I have no shortage of these. And I can even use a story from around when Jordan and Jane met, just to paint a picture for you. Jordan and Jane, as Lisa mentioned, met in the kitchen of a Jewish retirement home that they and myself worked at back in the early 2000s. Picture 60 or so bubbies, unhappy about the matzo ball soup that's being served. 90-year-old men emphatically calling each other mashugana. Jordan with hair down past his shoulders, and a temperamental Polish chef. Now, to give you an idea of what kind of friend Jordan is, he would come in to work with me, even though he wasn't scheduled to work at the time, and help me finish a shift earlier so that we could go and do something. All the while, me getting paid, and he doing the same job and not getting paid. This is a good friend, am I right? And we had a scale. While I get paid, that's a good friend. Although it's possible he had an ulterior motive now that I think about it, since Jane was there and maybe he wanted to see her. Anyways, I can also tell you that Jordan and Jane were extremely covert when they began dating. In fact, I worked with the two of them and I still had no idea until I was driving down the street and I happened to see the two of them together. And they were walking to a movie. I later asked Jordan, what was that all about? And he spilled the beans. But I should have seen it sooner. Jane is a fantastic person. She made a great coworker, always willing to help. She's extremely intelligent, warm, driven, beautiful, and successful. Now, I don't specifically remember the timeline of Jordan or Jane who was hired first, but I can definitively say that I arranged for Jordan to work at the retirement home, and as a result, I feel like I can fully take credit for this entire event occurring today. Luckily, I didn't have to pay for it. Now, the other thing I learned from looking up what a best man should do in a speech is to avoid inside jokes. This is because it doesn't keep the audience's attention. But ladies and gentlemen, Jordan and I have been friends since grade 7. Everything is an inside joke. So instead, I'll tell you that I often find things hilarious when I'm alone or working or with people I don't know very well. And then I think of who else would find this funny. And invariably, the first person that comes to mind is Jordan Hall. Having been around the two of you since the beginning of your relationship, I say with confidence that the two of you make each other better. An old Swedish proverb states that shared joy is double joy, shared sorrow is half sorrow. So here's to Jordan and Jane, doubling their joy and halving their sorrow. Thank you.